you'll land on stay. Know you like the sweet shots. Double vision, I lie. Now I know when I see right. Polarized to light. Now we fight for the detox. Running out of skip that test, so you need help, kid. I got time interest. Running out of skip that test, so you need help, kid. I got some interest. Fire, fire away. I see you in the dark, armed with information. We have illumination. Fire, fire away. You won't break me apart. Don't tell me I am lost. I know exactly where I am, under the flicker of the gaslight.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marie Hamara, filmmaker and founder of Cinema Sala, which is a screening workshop series that showcases Filipinx work from the film and performing arts industries. Happy Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and welcome to the first ever Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival Virtual Showcase, presented by Visual Communications. From celebrating our histories and cultures to mobilizing our communities to be socially and politically active, we present the virtual showcase to keep us connected. This showcase is brought to you by our partners at Comcast, NBC Universal, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Nielsen, HBO and Warner Media, National Geographic, and for more info, please visit vcmedia.org. Welcome to today's program. Cinema Sala presents Lumpia. Lumpia. This is a homemade cult classic, which we've been waiting 17 years for the sequel. We have the filmmakers here. Please turn on your cameras, AJ and Patricio. I also have Lumpia here, made fresh for you guys. So please forgive my crunching. A big thank you to Filipinx Artists of Houston and Pangeekery for being our community partners for this program. So I'm going to brag about our guests today. So Patricia Hinelsa, do I say your last name? I say it the Filipino way. Is it Janelsa?
Janelsa, yes, you got it.
Okay, sorry, I'm saying the Filipino. Janelsa. Patricio Janelsa is the writer, director, and producer of Lumpia. He's also an associate producer of another Filipino-American classic, The Debut. Janelsa has also directed over a decade's worth of music videos, including the Apple song for Black Eyed Peas. His past and present work shows that representation matters, long before this phrase became a hashtag. AJ Calamay is the co-producer of Lumpia. Calamay has produced a decade's worth of indie projects, such as music videos for Black Eyed Peas, Bamboo, and Rocky Rivera. As an editor, Calamay has worked on various unscripted and long-form scripted shows, such as Mr. Robot, Covert Affairs, Speed Racer. Calamay's latest release project is Hunters on Amazon, executive produced by Academy Award winner Jordan Peele. So, yes, guys. So you just came from a watch party on Facebook, and is that still going on right now?
Yeah, say hi to everyone. You're also being broadcasted on the Lumpia Live webcast.
Yes. Wait, AJ, I cannot hear you. I think you are muted.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Hello?
What did you say? Sorry?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we got we got a little double stream happening right now. So yeah, it just came off a watch party. It was great. You know, we had the whole cast there and crew. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for having us here, Marie.
Of course. I always love starting these conversations with origin stories. And since your films are very like rooted in kind of a comic book folklore, I think it's very apt. So I want to know, with you, Patricio, how did you realize you wanted to become a director? And you, AJ, how did you know you wanted to be a producer and editor?
I mean, I started being a filmmaker at 12 years old. I just got my dad's camcorder and started shooting the kids in my Data City neighborhood, Data City, California. And
was it the same camcorder you shot the film at, the Video 8?
Same type, yeah. I mean, those Video 8 cameras don't last too long, and so yeah, it started with my dad's camcorder, and obviously started with I think I was shot with my uncle's camcorder. And it was always a hobby to me, and I didn't really pursue filmmaking seriously until I watched Boys in the Hood from John Singleton. And I remember that moment. I watched that with my church youth group of all groups, and I remember that was the first time I was so impacted by that film. And I remember sitting in that movie theater and just while when the end credits rolled, everyone else just, you know, my whole youth group kind of left, and I was just still watching. It was the first time I actually watched the end credits for a movie, I think. And I just remember remembering just how, like, wow, this exists, like this is happening in here in California. And I was just so, and I basically just wanted to know who the filmmaker was, and it was John Singleton, this 21-year-old. I wanted to learn everything. Like, if this you know, Black filmmaker was able to, you know, make a movie about his neighborhood, I figure, why not of my neighborhood? And so you know, I researched him. He went to USC Film School. Had no idea USC Film School was, like, you know, where George Lucas and all these other Hollywood folks came from. All I knew was John Singleton went there, and I wanted to learn everything. And so that USC immediately became my dream school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for myself, I mean, I got into editing as a kid. You know, we'd watch a lot of, with my cousins and I, we'd watch skateboard videos, you know, Bones Brigade, all those Paul Peralta videos. And then later on, in also played piano for 8 years. So I think that sort of like kind of gave me a sense of tempo and timing and that kind of thing. And so I didn't do so much in high school, but later towards college, I started filming events for the Filipino Club and sharing all our stories there. And that's sort of where I kind of got the bug and to do it more, because everyone enjoyed watching, you know, what I put out there, what I edited. And this is still me editing with 2 VCRs, because that was the method I was familiar with when I was a kid. And then around, I think like 96 or 97, you know, we invested in a computer with a 9 gig hard drive, which was huge. And we started editing on Premiere. And then, but it felt right to me, because I was never really more of a, not so much a writer, but more like I was giving ideas, you know, so, and then people would put it together. So I enjoyed sort of sharing my ideas, and then taking what was there and being creative with that. So it was sort of a good fit when I met Patricio, because he had, you know, all this footage. I mean, we'll talk about how we met, but yeah, as far as my editing path, I mean, it felt like a good fit for me. You know, I was a little bit more behind the scenes and just, you know, like to work on my own, I guess, you know, but I love being creative that way. So.
Was there a movie, like, just like Patricio said that there was Boys in the Hood and he was watching the credits as a filmmaker, was there a movie where you were like, this is editing, like, I want to do that?
I guess Pulp Fiction, you know, because that came out, you know, it was a wide release, you know, and the way it was put together was nonlinear. So I thought, this is different. And that sort of set me on the path to watch other films, you know, like once we got cable, I started watching, you know, Independent Film Channel. I mean, later on, and then music videos back then. So a lot of the 90s music videos, you know, the Mark Romanek music videos, the David Fincher music videos. I love the style and the storytelling of those. So I was like, okay, I like this. I like the style. So, and then, you know, French New Wave. I was like, okay, this is like pretty extreme, but I see what they're doing here with editing. They're like making it a point to show the editing here. So yeah, so I'd say Pulp Fiction's kind of started off, and that sort of set me on the path.
That's great. Patricio, like, your film it's an action comedy, but it tells a story of intergroup prejudice, where you have this group of Filipino Americans picking on the FOBs, which are the immigrants in high school. And I mean, how did you decide that you wanted to be that genre? And how did you decide you wanted lumpia to be the weapon of choice? Like, this is like fascinating for me.
I mean, definitely. I mean, Lumpia started out as a reunion movie. It was basically, now that I was in USC in film school, my first year, I went back home for that summer, and I said, kind of wrangled up the old neighborhood kids together, and we said, hey, let's shoot a movie together just for the hell of it, because I figured I was a better storyteller. I had a kind of a rough script. And I chose the action comedy because we wanted something fun. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to do a heavy drama with my friends. That didn't sound like a fun summer to be like shooting something very heavy. And so, so that's something comic book, and really playing. The issue of why I came up with that story was, I think, when I went to USC, there's definitely a culture shock. I grew up in Daly City, California. More people of color, mostly Filipinos. Our mayor and just everyone is Filipino. In high school, my senior class, the student body, the council was all Fil-Am, And so to go to USC, it was almost like a culture shock. I was like, whoa, this is the world I see in the movies, like Revenge of the Nerds and Animal House. Like it was like going opposite in a way. And so I kind of, in a way, was trying to find my path as a filmmaker and what kind of storytelling I wanted to do. And I think Lumpia was my first foray actually talking about what it meant for me to be Filipino and the difference between being Filipino born and Filipino American. I think that was one of the things that I kind of sense the differences now that I look back in high school and saw the different pockets of Filipinos, because there were so many of us. And I just thought that was such a unique thing to do in a different kind of conflict. And so that's where it started. I know eventually I did want to go. I know I could go deeper into that, but so when it came down to superhero, and I just wanted to see Edward and Carlos, who are both black belt martial artists. I really just wanted to make a movie. So in the end, they just kicked each other's ass. That's really what it was. To make a movie that somehow the characters you build in the end just end up in this cool, like action-packed, fight, which eventually the movie didn't end up becoming.
So what, like you said, you were, all your friends. I want to talk really quickly about the casting of the film, because you have the FOBs and you have the gang, and everyone is so authentic. And you have, obviously, did you cast them because everybody was that person? Did you write the characters for everybody, or was there any kind of casting process where kids were like, can you put me in your movie?
It's funny, we were just talking about this at the watch party. I think a lot of it was typecasting. A lot of it was, I wanted to write roles that, obviously none of them are professional actors, like something that they can, play. And with Ed and Tyrone, I mean, he's definitely not Tyrone, but it was easy for him to play that role. And then the hardest part, the casting really, that required actual casting, were all the female parts, because this was such a guy thing for us. It was just us guys shooting movies. And so when it came down to a cast of love interest or even a group of women, we didn't know. I mean, we had a sister, Lee Kabati, who always played the mugging victim in our old childhood movies. But obviously this was a bigger role. So that was the hard part of casting. And yeah, it was just us. Look, if we knew that this movie would turn out the way it is, we were just doing this for fun. If I had told them, oh, we're going to put this in a film festival, and 17 years from now, we're going to have a Q&A session at this film festival, and look back, I don't think any of us would even make this movie.
Because there's a joyous quality to like how you guys made it. You could tell that everyone is having fun, and of course, like being from Manila, my heart is with the FOBs always, and I'm sure you have audience members like that. So like, I really my favorite characters are Jart and Constancio, especially in their karaoke montage. Hoping, and we'll get to this later, but the second film has some sort of brings that a little bit back. Yeah. So I want to talk. AJ, you mentioned this earlier about how you guys met. So did you guys meet after the film was shot? Like, I would love to know how you guys started collaborating with each other.
Yeah, so Pat started shooting that, like 96 or 97 or something. And then
96, yeah.
we met around 99. So I had just graduated at UCLA. Pat was at USC.
The other school.
And rival school, the better school here. I had actually came across his website that he had did for his Filipino club, and it felt like very
GeoCities website.
It was a GeoCities website. It felt very like do it yourself. I'm like, it looks like this guy like designed everything on this website, and he had this whole like Troy 5 the movie, which was a Filipino club at UCLA. And I was sort of doing the same.
Hello.
I'm sorry, at USC. And then I was doing the same thing at UCLA, and then so I was like, all right, what's going on here? I got to meet this guy. So a mutual friend of ours introduced us. I'd went to a Filipino cultural night show that he directed, and I thought it was pretty different. This is something that thematically was different than I had seen other shows. I was like, oh, this is that guy that has that website. Okay. So I got to meet
what
him.
was the show? Can you just like expound? What was so different?
Well, it was.
What was the conventional? Yeah, and what was? Yeah,
it was called Miss Teen Raffle Ticket, and it was about those Filipino associations having their daughters like sell raffle tickets to become Miss whatever of that association. And and there was there was some pretty big plot twists in there that I thought were pretty bold. So I was like, okay, this guy, and coming from UCLA, ours was like singing, and you had this like serious story. I was like, wow, what's going on here? All right. And so I kind of like that, and then we eventually ended up meeting through a mutual friend of ours, Jamie Buon is her name. And it was at this event called Friendship Games in 99.
Remember SPUF, Spirit, Pride, Unity, and
Yeah, where all the Filipino American clubs or the Filipino clubs get together and play picnic games, So it went from there, and then he brought up the movie, and it felt right to me, but yeah, that's how we met. And then later on, once we started staying in touch, she told me about Lumpia. So
Patricia, did you know that AJ was an editor by that point? Like, was there kind of like a competition going? Like, it sounds a little bit like there was a little friendly competition.
Well, I mean, look, the guy's from UCLA, so I don't think at that point I ever had friends from UCLA, and so the way this rivalry works, it builds you up to like hate each other. But I think it's just unique that me and AJ end up being partners was because the fact that I'm from San Francisco. I'm a Giants, Warriors, Bay Area team fan. He's a Lakers, Dodger fan. He's from UCLA. I'm from USC. We kind of prove that rivals can become best friends and just really good collaborators. And I think I didn't know he was an editor. I mean, Jamie, a common friend, told us we needed to meet. Like, you guys need to meet. I don't know if she noticed something in both our talent or abilities or whatever, but she's the one that connected us. So and when I found out he was editing, he was part of the video production company called Bahay Video, which produced all those culture nights. It was rare to meet people who were in the community who were into video. From my perspective, I even in Daly City, what made me unique as a Filipino American was that I was a filmmaker. Everyone else was a DJ in Daly City, and so for me, picking up a camera was unique. And so to go to LA and meet other, someone else who was also a filmmaker and Filipino, I gravitated to it. I think it was, I don't know, not love at first sight, but it was definitely like we connected definitely when we first saw each other.
Yeah.
At Friendship Games, I think that's, Friendship Games, it's like, you can't script this any better.
That's a great origin story too. Okay, so Pat, with the original Lumpia film, how many days did you guys shoot? And like I want our audience to be inspired to like how to make a homemade movie. Like, so how many days, how much did you spend? And it was all on Video 8?
It was all on Video 8. I mean, the initial summer, we had a script, and obviously we only had that summer to shoot before I had to go back in August. And so, but again, my friends, they were all doing it in their free time. This is just having fun. And I never finished shooting that summer. It was all on people's free time. I mean, we joked about it because they had no idea what call time is. Call time was like ringing a doorbell. Hey, Francis, are you home? Like, can you give them a call? so a lot of it was, and we were kind of used to it because that's how we shot our neighborhood films. But in a way, I wanted to keep it a little more serious to the point where it was like, okay, this time we'll have a boom mic. We're gonna capture really good audio. So we got a hockey stick and put a karaoke mic in there. Like, this is our boom mic, you know. My brother, I have to give him credit because he was my partner. We made movies together, and so in a way, I kind of dragged my brother to help me shoot it. And there was just kind of like his job was really to wrangle everyone, and how again we never finished shooting it, and so it was one of those things that never shooting it this summer because we only shot like 2 acts of that movie that first initial summer. And I just shelved it. They didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't planning to really release it the way it was. I think what happened was when I saw AJ, and when I met him, I just gave him the footage. He edited it to this this really kick-ass trailer. And I saw the movie in a different light. I was like, oh my God, looks really cool. And I made it, you know? and then that's when we said, oh, you know what, let's finish this. And so we wrangled in the years after 99. And this is 3 years already after we shot that movie. So we had all this footage. So in the next years following, while I was on tour with the debut, we just kept editing the scenes. A lot of people responded to the trailer. I think that was the one thing that motivated us. People didn't realize that trailer was an actual movie. They thought it was just made specifically for that trailer. And I think, and then this is all pre-YouTube, of course. And so when that trailer, which was on a VHS tape, was passed along to all the different folks and different festivals, it just sparked all the, wow, the people are waiting. So I kind of like, hey, AJ, people are waiting. You got to do this. And we don't know. We don't know how many people are really waiting for this movie. Right. And then that's right. We wrote the script. We got the people that was the movie looks the way it is because we had so many continuity errors because everyone grew up, growth spurts, haircuts. I mean, but we had to finish it. I felt like we did what we could to finish it, just to get to the finish line. And I think the most important part was really, just to put ourselves out there. Like, let's just do it. Let's just finish it. I mean, we have 2/3 of the movie completed already. Let's just,
For me, the only time I noticed that it was shot, there was like a time difference, was when Kelly had braces and she didn't have braces. And I was like, wait a minute, he had braces.
But that was a dream sequence. That was a dream sequence, and we cheated a little bit. So it was like a dream sequence.
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, I feel that, when the story is good, you don't notice, you forgive continuity errors. So something similar with another very another cult classic from the Philippines, Rock and Roll, that was shot over a period of years as well. And you do notice the actors with the haircuts, but you just forgive it because it's a good story.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to have a few questions from our audience. And, they're very hard-hitting questions. Like Justin Ricafort's question is, how many total lumpia were eaten in the production?
AJ, we've been asked this question so many times. I think you should tackle this one.
I know. Shoot, man. How many was it? 70 or something?
we always reverted because we don't. The story behind the lumpia was that my brother would cook it. So the morning, sometimes we didn't even know we're shooting until that afternoon or that morning. And so my brother would wrangle the lumpia, and then we always joke around because we didn't. It's hard to make fresh lumpia and to keep it fresh. My brother would cook it that morning, and the ingredients he would use was all these leftovers from the kitchen, And then his special ingredient for the lumpia was always the Vienna sausage because it kept the lumpia a little bit heavier and easier to throw. So he put like all these mungo beans, rice, whatever was left over, and then put one Vienna sausage whole, and then cook it really quick and fry it, and that was our lumpia. So poor Carlos, who played, Kuya in the movie, he had to eat all those lumpia. We were joking about it earlier because all the other cast members who had lumpia in their mouths, they got the good ones. We actually went to a Filipino restaurant and bought those because we had time to buy it. But poor Carlos was eating it, and he had to get the bad.
Lumpia surprise, right?
Lumpia surprise, yeah. That was
yeah. And they were joking, there's no craft services. So like whoever got thrown the lumpia, that was like their lunch.
That was for lunch, yeah.
And they're like, oh, thanks. Take 2. Throw me another one. And then, there was one that was like egg roll from lumpia from Jack in the Box, right?
The bastard one.
Yeah. Shameful.
Wait, what? Jack in the Box and lumpia?
We're starting controversy here. The main hero shot of when Moon Moon gets the lumpia in the mouth in the very last scene is not even lumpia. It is a Jack in the Box egg roll, because it was shot on a Sunday, and then all the Filipino restaurants for some reason didn't have lumpia that Sunday, so we had to rush into a 24-hour drive-through and get a Jack in the Box egg roll as our stand-in. So we did have stand-in for the most crucial part of the scene. It was like, you know,
it was big. So like I thought that fit thematically. Like the lumpia grew in the climactic part of the scene. So kind of works. And there's like ridges that it's very harmful, you know, can do more damage. So it worked.
Greg Munda asked, important question, which lumpia, prito, hubad, sariwa, or Shanghai?
Oh man.
I'm a Shanghai guy. I've
Yeah.
always been a Shanghai, yeah.
Shanghai. I mean, I can knock out like 10 easily in one sitting.
In the movie, though, the new movie, I mean, AJ had a special one that he created, right?
Oh yeah, I made a sinigang lumpia inspired by our lumpia cook-off that we did for our Kickstarter back then. You know, our chef Jan and my buddy AC has made those sinigang lumpia. So those are pretty good. In our test shoot, we had Mark Munoz eat the lumpia on camera for the first time. And he didn't know what was in it. He took a bite and he was like,
Yeah, this isn't Vienna sausage. This is not Vienna sausage.
he was pretty impressed. But yeah, I was proud because I made it like that. I made like 15 that morning. So, but yeah, no, as far as like preference, I mean, you know, Shanghai is great. And then, you know, as I've gotten older, like I want more vegetables in my diet. I mean, you know, if I see fresh lumpia there, I'll probably eat like 2. So I'll do it for me.
Will you be sharing that sinigang lumpia recipe on your social media?
I could. I actually have some in my freezer. I keep them for a rainy day. You know, I should have. Yeah, I'll make some. Yeah, AJXY. You can see it on mine. You can follow me.
Nice. So everybody, that one. And since we're on a tangent and all the people's questions are lumpia themed, Sybil is asking, was it always lumpia or was there an alternative weapon ever considered?
No, I mean, can you imagine if it was adobo or I don't know, maybe crispy pata? I don't know. I mean, it's just lumpia just was more easier to throw. So the story behind why we chose lumpia was so the movie that actually inspired the concept was El Mariachi. You know, it was Robert Rodriguez's film that eventually became Desperado. And so when we saw that, we were so inspired by that whole rebel without a crew concept in that movie. Our brother was like, "Hey, there should be a Filipino version of this guitar hero." The best we could think of was the guy with the Barang Tagalog. But there was lumpia. I mean, lumpia just felt very portable, you know.
Yeah, it was like Shinobi, right? Sort of inspired by Ninja Stars. Yeah. So it felt right. I mean, like, El Mariachi was ridiculous with the guitar, but you kind of bought that world. You're like, okay, I could believe it where like a guitar can shoot bullets, can be a machine gun. So yeah, why not? I mean, we have Spider-Man who shoots webs and Batman who's inspired by a bat. Why not lumpia?
Yeah, in the new movie, we go overboard with the.
yeah. There's a scene there where we address those.
We're like, for a concept that we were just messing around with when I was 17, 18 years old at the time. It's like we have to justify everything for this new movie. It was like, okay, now we got to think about how do we justify this and why is he really doing this?
Yeah.
Are there innovations to the lumpia, like double fried, triple fried, to make it more threatening, or like do more damage? Or
oh man, yeah. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, well, in the sequel, we use CG lumpia a lot.
Yeah, we sold out. We sold out to the CG one.
It doesn't taste as good, but it doesn't wear out. We do have like I guess there is like sort of a stunt hero lumpia that we use over and over again. But yeah, no, as far as innovations, I mean, we don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, there's some pretty cool innovations happening with the next movie. So
that's interesting. I think when we do tech specs of lumpia, we could say it was double fried or triple, like there should be a how to make his lumpia. That could be like a whole nother platform.
Yeah, no, it's definitely double wrapped. I mean, I got that from shout out to John Castro out there. You know, we had double wrapped our lumpias for our You Now pop up. So I was like, you know what? So that's what I made that morning for that test shoot. You know, and the double wrap lumpia just definitely holds up. So
Awesome. So I'm gonna do a tangent for now, a little bit. Patricio, you are, you know, for a decade you've made amazing music videos, and was that after Lumpia? Like, how did you start collaborating with Black Eyed Peas? Especially like I think your video for the Apple song is very powerful, and obviously Bebot is a huge like cultural success. So I want you to kind of talk to for us like how you got into music videos first, and how that helped you as a filmmaker.
I mean, so it really started out with me being part of the debut. I was the associate producer for that film, and one of my jobs was to drive cross country with the whole crew, and we would show the movie in different cities across the United States. So I got to meet a lot of the different Filipino pockets throughout the U.S. And it was there that I met some of the musicians and artists in these, and some of them provided songs for the debut at the time, because I was also, one of my jobs was curating music for that soundtrack. And so when I met some of these musicians, I was very, number one, I also asked if they wanted to donate music to Lumpia, because we were editing it at the time. And, you know, since we didn't have money, I just said, hey, we could shoot a music video for y'all, because, you know, that'd be fun. And I remember that ended up, that was me and AJ's kind of like first, we tried it with Inner Voices, and then I think it was a way for us to kind of learn filmmaking and gathering a crew and actually work with a cinematographer, you know, and kind of build our partnership in videos. And that's what we did. We started doing music videos for independent artists, mostly for the musicians behind the first Lumpia soundtrack. So the Pacifics, we went to Chicago and shot their music videos. That was a great thing. And we had, and then that actually caught the eye. I guess since I was in music video mode, the Elephant album, which the Black Eyed Peas produced, that the Apple song was not a single per se, but I heard it off their album, and I was kind of inspired at that point because, I mean, long story short, it's that song inspired me to write a treatment for it, and I happened to know someone who knew them, who just shared it, pushed me to write this treatment, and lo and behold, management really loved that treatment for the Apple song, and so that, in a way, almost like took us to a different level, you know, because this is our little Lumpia crew that we're just kind of like, you know, starting out making music videos, and now this, you know, I got to shoot on 35mm film, you know, with that project, and then Apple song led to Bebot, which I mean was way different than work, like the Black Eyed Peas exploded like right after Apple song with Let's Get It Started. They became global, and so working on Bebot was a total different experience. But that, and ended up us, you know, working with other independent artists like Bamboo, you know, Rocky Reed Farah. And I think for me as an artist, it was a way to use that platform to kind of build and develop my skills as a filmmaker and play with different genres. Because at that point, I was, you know, Lumpia, you know, was a homemade movie, and I wanted to flex my muscle a little bit, and it got me to practice more about writing. The Apple song, you know, was still my favorite project because that was very, you know, it was a different genre, you know, and I got to play with, I mean, all my music videos are completely different, I think, you know, and it allowed myself and AJ to kind of really, what's the word? Like we're in the synergy, like the energy was, we just kept cranking out projects for, I don't know, 10 years, you know, and so the music video platform always helped us, but I could tell you that I was hungry to do a feature film. You know, I mean, and for every filmmaker, that was always the goal, to do a feature film. And even though Lumpia 1 is technically my first feature, I really wanted to make a real movie, you know, and for some reason, Lumpia 2 ended up being that project.
yeah, the music videos definitely enabled us to really establish a crew, workflow, chemistry, and build a community, you know, and it was a way for like folks who wanted to learn about filmmaking, you know, come in, hey, help us out on set, you know, and this is maybe like 20, 25, 30 music videos that we had done. So yeah, no, and a lot of folks who helped us on those music videos, you know, helped us out in Lumpia and you know, with the second movie. So, I mean, you know, that was an incredible period because we, you know, we just really built a great community that way. you know, so yeah, it was a fun time, definitely a fun time.
AJ, you also run a Filipino pop-up called You Eat Now.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been producing lumpia for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Are you just a foodie at heart? Like, why do you do the projects that you do?
I guess so. Yeah, and it's funny. There's another short film I produced called Lumpia Campesina. You know, so I guess I'm the lumpia guy. You know, I'm just drawn to projects that align with my values. You know, and you know, being Filipino and food is, you know, is at the center of our culture. Brings people together. Absolutely. I mean, I want to be a part of these projects. So whether it's a pop-up, a feature film, the people involved, I want to be around it. So, and I guess that's sort of like my producing style, right? It's connecting and bringing energy together, bringing folks who I think will work well together, you know, and because I love the projects I work on so much, I feel like everyone kind of gets drawn to that, and everyone does their best. So yeah, I guess that'll kind of be on my resume somehow, you know, anything lumpia. Maybe there's going to be a lumpia financial planning or something. Maybe that's the next thing. Lumpia retirement services.
Romel Andaya his question is, do you still have the original DV8 tapes with original footage, or did you use one and kept recording over it?
Yeah, so yeah, we just talked about this. There's a lost tape of actually footage. So I still have all my Video 8 original footage, which one of the main first jobs that when AJ came on board to do was to transfer all this to mini DV, right, AJ? Like, yep. One of the first jobs was to transfer all this Video 8 footage to mini DV. Mm-hmm. There's one tape that's missing because I remember shooting it and we don't have it. And it's you know Tyrone goes through a lot of different girlfriends in the movie, and so there's one particularly in the locker scene. Her name was Debbie. That she's there. She's only there when she walks away, but there's a whole scene where she's talking and trying to stop Tyrone from beating up Moon Moon, and we never shot that. I don't know what happened to the tape. It just got lost, and because of moving, we just could never find that. So we never erased it. I think we were better than that because you know, on those tapes you put the tab, that red little red tab on, right? So you can't erase it. You can't erase it. That red tab is on. Right?
It's probably disintegrated now.
Disintegrates. I always thought someone stole it and has it somewhere out there. Like, I have the missing footage here.
Yeah,
but video is a decent archival. Like, it's a stable medium. So I don't know if it will be disintegrated. Maybe that thief who stole that tape is still.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. No, we had but yeah, we definitely transferred the high 8 immediately to. And this is sort of
it wasn't high 8, AJ. It was Video 8. We didn't even do high 8. It was Video 8.
That's right. Yeah, it was Video 8.
The lower standard of high.
Yeah. Video 8 and mini DV later, like the latter part of the shoot. That was like later towards the end. But yeah, no, we transferred it, and this is where I came in with like the organizing. Like I'd labeled the transfer tape, so we had, you know, this is back then when we did log and capture in Final Cut Pro. So I had all the tapes labeled nicely: transfer tape 1, transfer tape 2, log notes. And that way we can like have nice time code across all the time code breaks from the Video 8 tapes. So yeah, that was that kind of created our masters. I still have I think you still have those, Pat, those original transfer.
Yeah, no, I do have it. And I don't, unfortunately, I don't have a Video 8 player that plays it anymore.
Yeah, I still have my Canon GL1. We can probably capture that into I got to get a FireWire 400.
So we might be like alienating some people. So I'm going to bring it back. And Asil is asking, has this film played in the Philippines? And if so, how did the audiences react to it?
Yeah, so the closest that when we premiered at Hawaii International Film Festival, I actually had to take a detour to go to the Philippines for a family emergency. And so I actually took Lumpia, the VHS tape that I had with me, a viewing copy. And I actually, while I was in the Philippines, I was trying to mail it to different filmmakers there to see and watch it. I showed it to my cousins there. You know, of course, it's just a different feeling. They don't get it. You know, they laugh because it's me, it's their cousin. But I mean, it's never really officially been shown in the Philippines. And I think we kind of knew that because when I was part of the debut and it made its premiere in the Philippines, the reception for that film wasn't as much of a phenomenon it was in the US. So I already had this idea that Lumpia would not really do well in the Philippines. And that's just me. I don't know if it would, I don't know, but it has never officially screened in the Philippines. Lumpia 1. So.
Well, I think we should try to find a way to change that and have some sort of a double feature, because I mean, reception of something, 20 years ago, I feel that audiences have changed and evolved. And I think that they would be curious to welcome what Filipino American culture is and how it's different from something that's from there. So I think, anyway, anybody out there who...
Yeah, no, I mean, we've always wanted to do that. It's just, yeah.
And the eventual distributor of the Lumpia with a Vengeance, maybe that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Rights are available. Rights are available.
There you go. I would love to start to promote the second Lumpia and kind of talk a little bit about it. So I know the story takes place 15 years later. For people, because we know that it's going to be released later this year. What can you share of the story right now?
So the movie does take place years later, and so we do follow the characters of Moon and Kelly, but it revolves around the fact that this Lumpia Avenger Kuya, does return to Fogtown, and he's in the middle. He finds himself returning to his old high school because of this crazy drug syndicate, underground drug trade happening among the high schoolers, and so. I think we revealed it already that Moon's daughter is the main protagonist of the film, and so she plays the big role in teaming up with our heroes to take this syndicate down. That's a good teaser. AJ, was that good? That was good, right?
No, definitely.
Okay. I didn't spoil anything, right?
Yeah, no. And I'm sharing the first 12 minutes of the movie right here on my back.
Yeah, they can watch it. If someone can touch your finger, and maybe the movie will magically.
Yeah, so for those non-film production people, what you see behind AJ is what you call a timeline. Yep. And every little thing there is a cut. You see all the cuts, all the sound cuts, all the video layers of different videos. The layers of sound design are on the bottom half, videos in the top half. And as someone who edits, this is an insane timeline for 12 minutes. Insane.
I don't know. I see a spoiler right there. I see a spoiler right there, AJ. You gotta cut.
Yeah. That's right there is a spoiler.
And then you see something over there on that side where there's actually it seems like a long video clip. So
yeah.
You see the pacing kind of slow down for that one thing. Yeah. Lots of spoilers there, AJ.
Could be a oneer. Could be a oneer.
Could be a oneer. No, but I think that one thing that I would love to have you add to that, Pat, is the kind of we know who the protagonists are, but who are the bad guys? Because I think you have some really exciting casting choices there. Yeah,
so we definitely our villains are. The theme is crab mentality. I mean, I think the thematic, the villain's always been crab mentality. It's something that we can all relate to. And I think we have definitely Danny Trejo is in it, so he does play somewhat of a villain. I could say villain. He's people, villains. It's they're in the gray. They're not wearing the black hat in this film. But yeah. So in a way, the villains in this piece are kind of what are their motivations? And I don't know. I'm scared to go to spoiler territory. AJ, you got to help me out here. I'm I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
Gemini is, she's one of our main characters, right?
Yeah. In the poster, you can see one of the main, antagonists, the woman with the lipstick, but yeah, it's almost like kind of fighting for control of the city. But yeah, as Pat mentioned the themes earlier, with crab mentality and that kind of thing. I mean, there's still sort of that intertension happening between different factions, different cliques, still within the same world. So
yeah, and it'd be interesting because if you've seen Lumpia 1, there's definitely a moment there that still resonates throughout this next film, and we did show a kind of a sneak peek preview scene in there, and you kind of see the return of Tyrone and the kind of coincidences of bullying, what would happen to his character. So in a way, we do kind of continue the story from this first film try to expand on it a little bit more, what the effects of bullying are. Because I think for me, bullying and being an underdog has always been strong themes in my work. I feel just because I myself have been bullied a lot as a kid. But that was kind of like the underlying theme, and we wanted to continue that for the sequel.
Great. Justin Ricafort asks, is Lumpia and the debut in the same universe, the Philam cinematic universe?
I guess if you're talking about the karaoke scene where Joy Bisco does appear, no, I would say I would like to, she plays a completely different character in our universe. So the debut and Lumpia are definitely separate because in the sequel, Darian Bosco actually does show up, and he played Gusto in the debut, and he plays Detective Bayani in this new film. So obviously we really gonna shut that down, right, AJ? We shut down that whole connection.
Yeah. Although he could have gone from that, like, young punk to a cop. Maybe he kind of see the.
I think it's still on character.
Yeah.
It was always tough as nails.
Yeah, definitely. It's a
we definitely share a lot of debut cast members because we were so. I mean, obviously that was the movie that kind of like the movie that got me to this kind of filmmaking, right? So obviously it was just natural to bring in some of the cast for not only the debut but also mixing in with the flip side and what other movies I'm mixing. Like it was important to kind of like bring in past Philam films in there as a homage.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring, since we talk about the debut a lot, you talked about how you traveled the country bringing, like, four-walling the debut. And I was there in New York City when you had brought the film to AMC
Empire.
Times Square.
Yeah.
42, AMC 42.
You were there?
I was
what?
A t-shirt. Unfortunately, that t-shirt's in the Philippines right now, but I still have it.
I met you earlier. You were there.
I think so. If you were selling the t-shirt in the table, I met you when I was in film school at the time at Columbia University. So I bring this up only because, like, I remember that there was such an outpouring of support, and the community throughout the country really rising up for the debut. And I want to bring it to now. And, there is a resurgence of, there are more and more Filipinx stories coming out. Do you think that the industry, do you think the community has changed and will do the same thing? Do you think that people need to band together even more? Because at the time, kind of earlier days of the internet, now it might be more sprawled. I want to get your opinion because you were really there at that pivotal moment where the entire community really was up for the debut.
The power. I mean, we definitely have more tools now with the social, with the internet, social media. But I think the one thing that's always, I think for me, what I've always appreciated, what I've learned the most being on tour was just really the grassroots connection. I'm not commenting and following someone on Instagram. I was actually going there and meeting the community. I think it's the reason why the Houston folks, the Filipinx artists of Houston, was involved with this, because these are friends that I've still, in every city, I still kept in touch with. And that connection is very powerful to promote the film. So while I feel that there is definitely a big appetite for these kind of films, you can just see the resurgence even just in this movie. People are still messaging me watching this for the first time. There's always people who want to watch movies like this. It's just that we're not reaching out to them. How can we connect to them and let them know? Because obviously they're out there. And there are so many opportunities for us to create what I call a debut phenomenon, because that was kind of a phenomenon. It was like we were in AMC theaters, and what will it take? I mean, I think what it'll take is, we have a film coming out, Diane, with Yellow Rose, that got a theatrical release, that we got to put all our investment into that one, because those are rare opportunities. And I think it's not just the social media connection. I'm hoping, and I'm not part of that marketing team, a lot of it is hopefully doing a lot of grassroots connections, right? And I think it helps us when I drove my own car from city to city and we were forced to do that. I think there are ways to go now to do that with social media and engage. And I think, look, I feel I really feel, and this happens all the time, right? Every couple of years you feel like, oh, it's going to happen. That resurgence, that Filipino-American cinema on the rise again. And it's like, it happens and just doesn't, you know what I mean? And And for me, that peak, and I'm just biased, of course, because it's a debut, but I will always remember being in that lobby, the theater, and in San Francisco, in AMC, our movie, the #1 sold out theater, beating all the other Hollywood films combined. Like, it was completely sold out. And to the point where every theater chain wanted us because they said no before. For me, that was like, it made it possible. I think it's the reason why I still want to become a filmmaker, because I want to feel that way again. And, you know, and I know it's a long answer, but that's how passionate. Oh, I said a P word again. I need to put it in the passion jar. But I feel very, very, very strongly about that. You know, that it can happen again, and not just for our film, but, you know, even when I hear about milestones like with Diane's film, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like a movie that can bring people together, and it's you know, about putting that work in to get something out. You know, we've had several crowdfunding campaigns, you know, going back years, you know, to just kind of constantly build an audience. So it's, yeah, Pat's right. It's like constantly engaging, talking to people. With the debut, yeah, they went from schools and churches and different community organizations and talked to people and created that, you know. So we still have to put the hard work. We can't just post and share. You really have to, like, you know, go in. We don't have the big advertising, you know, budget. So we have to, like, really go in and connect with people, do all that legwork. And yeah, I think it can happen again. I mean, and this kind of movie, you know, I think it's definitely a theatrical movie. I mean, you know, we'll see what that looks like, you know, after all this. But, you know, this is that kind of movie where, you know, people want to enjoy with each other. You can cheer with each other. So
the important part is education, though. I think that's the one thing that why I appreciate, like, going out there and because you want people to understand why it's important to watch this film, you know, because they want to see more movies. So it's always that aspect that I always enjoy. Like myself and AJ, even in our productions, we love taking people in because we need to give them opportunities and have them learn why it's important to represent, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if there's like a call, like, to action for the people who are watching this, it's just like supporting and actually like doing the work. Is that part of it? Like, what can the community do aside from, you know, showing up or paying? Because I always want there to be a call for action so that people know how they can help. Because the worst thing that can happen is that it's all talk and then people don't show up, and then it's harder for us to prove that we have an audience that's thirsty for our content, you know. And right now people want Asian American content. Sorry, that's my baby in the background. She's not having it. But people want, you know, but how do we make sure this is not like a phase, like it's something that stays, and our stories, this is like one of the first steps. Sorry, guys.
That's fine. No, we can hear you, Marie.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I totally feel you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm just kind of like trying to pick your brain as people who've been, you know, very active with the community for almost 20 years, seeing how the industry has changed, and kind of like you can say your dreams right now so that people can listen and maybe want to help change things.
You know, I know, look, if we had money, I think the first thing I would always do to hire someone in a crew to get the word out is to hire, like, you know, a grassroots coordinator, someone who's not necessarily a filmmaker. I think one of the biggest things I've always been appreciated about the experience of touring was meeting the community leaders and the activists and the different acronyms for Philippine organizations out nationally. You know, and a lot of that, I mean, including my wife, I gotta give up to my wife, Melanie. I mean, she was our grassroots coordinator, and she was connected. And a lot of it is really call to action. I mean, the best way to have other people act, right, versus just sharing a movie is, you know, you have to show them like what you're doing, and kind of, in a way, you gotta be genuine. You know, you gotta. It's not about just supporting your own projects per se, and a lot of it is really, you know. I've lost my train of thought, AJ. I need to pass the baton to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with my approach, you know, because I've been, you know, working in post, you know, for over 20 years now, as well as working with Patricio. And for me, it's you know, I'm able to share like my knowledge, and that's sort of give me a way to bring people into my world of working with Patricio, our independent projects. But it's it's like investing in people, right? And caring for folks that, you know, hey, you want to learn about this? Like, oh, you have no connection to the film industry? Hit me up, send me a message. And, you know, they make their films, and then that person and their friends watch our film, you know, and, or whatever you do, you know, share with people and inspire them. I mean, there's only just a few of us and there's a few in our crew, but I think, you know, by sharing that attitude of like, hey, you know, like, this is something that, you know, I care about you. How can I help you along the way? And then that sort of built our audience. Like all the folks who have helped out with the project, I mean, those are all supporters, you know? So I just really try to like give time to folks to hear their story, help them in any way I can. I mean, it's a lot of work. I can't help like millions of people, but at least like they can all sort of like bring people in and say, hey, there's this special movie happening. You know, these guys are cool. Like, let's go help it. Or when it comes out, let's go check it out. So it's continuing to share our story, what we're doing, and knowing that, you know, this will only be as big as like, you know, our community, you know, makes it. So.
I mean, the key is engagement, Marie. I think it's like if we keep them engaged and keep it entertaining, you know, I mean, that's always the challenge for a filmmaker. What concept can we get people excited about and engage, and what's different? And that always starts from there, right? Finding a concept that will not engage your community, but also, I mean, look, even get non-Filipinos excited about it. I think that's I think me and AJ, we've been very blessed because we've had a crew, and the music videos we shot usually for $100. I mean, I could go through every video that we've shot in the last 10 years free. We donated a lot of our own work and a lot of our crew, and it's like, I know that's not the way it should be done in real filmmaking, but a lot of the main thing that even with this movie, we've survived on really not on money, because the money was never there. You know, we've always had to beg and plead. We've really survived on people being excited to work with us and learning from us. And I think, you know, myself learning, and AJ's, you know, his experience of being a mentor, you know, that for us is about, you know, educating people and getting people excited. I think that's the ingredient we need. And if everyone did that, and just not for sake of an Instagram like or Facebook comment, you know, and they really engage, I think that's the key to get people beyond, to make this phenomenon even real, right? Because you can read through a fake like or fake comment, but if someone really is really excited about something, that's me and AJ's challenge. How do we get people to be excited about this, you know?
And I think you guys are so good at that, because I remember, AJ, the first time I met you, which is I first moved to LA 7 years ago. I was looking for fellow Filipino filmmakers, went to a networking event, and I forgot what the name of the bar was, but it had billiards tables and booze.
Busby's.
And you were, what was it called?
Busby's.
Yes.
Busby's.
Yes. And you were one of the first people I talked to, and you were just so welcoming, and exactly what you said. You were, you just had this energy of, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you guys doing? And it was just a very, and soon after, I mean, obviously we became friends, and you invited us to your home. And I feel that that's how we should be as filmmakers and as a Filipinx filmmaking community, because when we band together and we support this work, and we're like an army and a movement, I think it'll be hard for people to ignore us, especially when we have such great content being made on so many different fronts. Yeah. And I'm so happy. And with your film, it is a truly community made with love project. Like, it is funded by the community. You see people in the community on screen, behind the screen. And it's really like a homemade film. And Patricia, you shouldn't have a swear jar for passion. Passion jar is awesome. Like,
although we overuse that word so much in our thing, it's just a little in joke. we never say that word. It's like, okay.
But I mean, never be ashamed of using the word passion, because I feel that passion can move mountains, and can, you know, it makes it, right. You can make the film that you have, like you've always wanted to make, and people will go out and watch it because they can, the passion is infectious. So now that you're done with the film and you're going to release it, hopefully at the end of the year, can you share a little bit of the plans for that? And what are the plans after that? Like, what are you guys working on next?
Yeah, so the movie, we were supposed to have a world premiere this year. Obviously, the pandemic has changed our plans. And we've kind of like took a breather to we had more time to polish the film a little bit more. but we hope to premiere it not online. It's because, like I said, the community screening and the theater viewing is the way to go for our film. AJ, I don't know if I'm missing anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see what that looks like, what theaters will look like, months from now. But yeah, we're definitely polishing the movie. I mean, it looks great. We have, all those little magenta things. Those are all the visual effects shots, and there's a lot of them in there. So, giving us a little bit more time to hone those and to get the sound work done and music. So, yeah, I mean, as far as what's next, I mean,
well, yeah, the biggest thing is we've been using the time off to re-engage with our supporters and our Kickstarter backers and just the community in general. I think that's for us, because I can imagine, we were rushing trying to make the film for the premiere. We wouldn't have time to do what we're doing now, so I think it's pretty cool that we're giving us a kind of a moment to kind of, reflect back on the first films. It's been a while since I've seen the first film, and then reconnect, and have other people rediscover it. I think that's the whole point of trying to promote this next film.
Yeah. It's about being the champion of your own project, and that hopefully, like, not only going word of mouth, but yeah, you hopefully can, attract that person that can really bring the word. Everyone has their own networks of people, so yeah, I mean, if this gets, once this gets out there, and who knows if there's, the conditions are right for a next one. We'll see. I mean, I'm still I'm still editing and TV and keeping that going, but yeah, we've been on this since 2013, 2014, so it's we're almost there. Looking forward to wrapping this thing up, literally. Lumpia.
I brought little Harana here because one of the things that made me really happy was seeing her watching Lumpia riveted, because she saw other people who look like her, like a whole cast of brown people on screen, and she was just like that. And so, more power to making these stories. And I don't know, AJ, when you said the next one, I'm assuming there might be a. So
it's all about having the money, man. We definitely would do another movie. It's got to be done the right way, whatever the right way is.
Yeah, and that's like, seeing your daughter there. That's sort of what keeps us going, right? It's a younger generation, that we want to do this for. We've had some, some pretty amazing, to cry, no, but some really amazing folks who have been helping us throughout the years and said some really amazing things. They said they watched the movie when they were a kid and it inspired them, and so, it just keeps us going. No matter how hard it's been.
Yeah, we had a couple of crew members. One crew member who watched Lumpia when he was a kid, the first one, and now was helping us out behind the scenes, and he wrote us a really touching letter about that moment that his mom bought that DVD. And so it's easy to take that for granted. Even I've had a couple of parents also telling me that they showed it to their 10-year-old kid and 9-year-old this week when it was online. And it just said that there's just the concept of, and they're into Marvel films. So seeing a Filipino superhero for them was very empowering. So I think that makes it all worthwhile, all the stress of making a feature film. When you hear stories like that and people reaching out to us saying how a homemade movie from 17 years ago has kind of like, and for us, we kind of cringe. We're like, I could do better than that movie. So it's kind of crazy how even like an image of someone, even with your daughter, I saved that picture, Marie. It's a very powerful image to see.
I think that it's an empowering film to see, exactly, a Filipino superhero. That's the first Filipino superhero I've ever seen on screen. So congratulations, guys. And I cannot wait to see this film, Lumpia with a Vengeance, coming out by the end of the year. Thanks so much. This is all the time we've had for the day. Thanks for sharing this film with us, your childhood with us, and then like making this new film. We want to shout out to Abe from VC, a happy birthday, Maligayang
Hey!
Kawan.
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Abe.
Yes, we love you, Abe, and thank you so much for always being in Cinema Sala and supporting us. Please follow Cinema Sala. We have very much exciting things planned in the coming months. This is our last event at the virtual showcase for this month, but we're back in June. Please follow us on Instagram at cinema_Sala and on Facebook. Be sure to check out the HBO. Yes, love. Be sure to check out HBO APA Visionary Shorts this weekend. One of them is Marty Goes Remittance, which was featured in Cinema Sala a couple of years ago. It's really beautiful. Please check it out. We are revisiting the 2018 winning HBO films. All of the short films are viewable now. And for more information on visual communications, please check out the website vcmedia.org. Check out Patricio's awesome Lumpia masks, and maybe we can find out where to get those. Where can we get this?
It's on lumpiamovie.com. Just go to lumpiamovie.com, Facebook, Instagram, at lumpiamovie is our handle. Follow us. We have a lot of other cool stuff. So, and this one benefits the Park's Finest Feed the Frontliners project. So.
Great, that's awesome. AJ, any hashtags or plug like social media handles you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, just follow at Lumpia Movie. I mean, I put my hashtag there or my Instagram thing there just because I like to share a lot of my editing behind the scenes and other things, cooking or whatever I'm in the mood for. But
we want to know when's the next You Eat Now. I think that's what people want to know.
John Castro is out there. Let me know. Let's talk. But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, follow Lumpia Movie, and yeah, just keep supporting, keep an eye out. You know, we'll keep you updated with what's happening with the movie.
Thanks so much, guys. It was great talking with you today.
Cool.
Thanks,
Marie.
Marie. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, VC.
Bye. Happy Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. Bye.
Memorial Day weekend.
I think we're going to go.